Hey everyone, Dr. Kim Chronister here, licensed clinical psychologist. Today we're talking about perfectionism and what are the signs of perfectionism, how is perfectionism holding you back, and how to overcome perfectionism. Make sure you stay tuned to the end. I'll give you all the signs and how to overcome perfectionism. Alright guys, so what are the signs of perfectionism according to psychology? Well, number one, it may be really difficult for you to delegate to others. So if you have a lot to do and you'd actually be more effective if you delegated, you're still not going to do it. You're going to postpone actually hiring someone or getting someone else to help you. Or if you're doing a class project, you don't even want to work in a group setting necessarily because you feel like other people aren't going to do the job like you will. So you take more on than you need to because you're not willing to delegate. Another sign that you might be a perfectionist is that you're critical of yourself and possibly even of others. You really are more rigid in your thinking a lot of times when you're a perfectionist. So you gotta watch that. That's definitely a sign of perfectionism. Now that can be a really adaptive thing, but when it gets in the way of your goals and dreams, that's what we're talking about today, okay? Another sign that you're a perfectionist is that you're not taking risks. So this is the biggest downfall of perfectionism. And let me tell you something. Some of the most successful people in the world are perfectionists, but they find out how to be adaptive with that perfectionism, and they have to start kind of changing their ways a little bit to be more successful and to get to the next level. What does that mean? It means what we talked about earlier, delegating to others. So we're more critical of ourselves, maybe critical of others. We're more rigid in things that we do. We're not delegating, and our creativity is likely suffocated. Now, when we talk about taking risks, a lot of times it's difficult for perfectionists to take risks. Why is that? Because they feel like if it's not perfect, why do it? And they drop their goals prematurely because they feel like it's not to their standard. And let me tell you something, that's where perfectionism gets us suffocated. A lot of times overachievers are perfectionists, so again, not a bad thing, not necessarily pathological, but it is something to look at. Another sign that you might be a perfectionist is you have dichotomous thinking. What is dichotomous thinking? It's all or nothing, black and white thinking. What does that mean? It means if it's not going to be this way, I don't want to do it at all. Or I'm not being the best at this, so I'm gonna drop it. Or people are gonna judge me, I'm judging it myself, so why even keep going? I might as well drop my goal completely. So it's all or nothing, black and white. If it's not gonna be this way, I don't wanna do it at all. If it's not perfect, then it's a failure. Okay, that's all or nothing dichotomous thinking, and that's what I wanna help you reframe today. All right, so how is it hurting your life? Again, it's hurting and stifling your ability potentially to go for your goals and your dreams. And if you really look closely at your goals, can you see where dichotomous thinking, black and white, all or nothing thinking, perfectionism, feeling like if it's not perfect, you're gonna just drop it, is getting in the way of your dreams? Well, if it is, I'm gonna help you reframe that, all right? So what are some ways? Well, first, let's tackle dichotomous all or nothing thinking. So if it's not perfect, might as well not do it at all. Or if it's not perfect, I'm a failure. Okay, that's all or nothing thinking. So we want to get to the gray. Okay, it's not exactly up to my standard, but I'm going to take that next step anyway. I'm going to activate every day, no matter what, even if it's not perfect. I mean, and the benefit of that is that you're actually practicing. You gotta see each step as practice, because that's how we get to our ultimate ideal anyway. So think of the next step towards your goal, toward your dream, towards your class project, whatever it is, as the next step toward that dream. But you gotta break that down and go ahead and do opposite action and do it anyway. All right, guys, so think of the gray area, not black or white. It's like, yeah, it's not exactly the way I want it, but I'm gonna go ahead and put it out there anyway because it's practice. That's the reframe, guys. That's how we reframe our negative cognitions, our negative thoughts into the gray and into the more adaptive is, yeah, it's not perfect, I'll go ahead and do it anyway. Or yeah, it's not perfect, but you know what? It's bringing value regardless, and it's a step toward my dream. That is reframing. That is getting away from dichotomous thinking, which perfectionists struggle with. All right, another way to deal with perfectionism and get into your goals is opposite action, like I talked about. Okay, What we really don't want to do is take a step toward, let's say, our New Year's resolution. We don't want to necessarily take that step. Why? We associate it with work. We associate it with pain. What I'm asking you to do is opposite action. A lot of times people with anxiety really feel stifled. They feel handicapped when they're very anxious. So what are they going to do? Exactly what their comfort zone tells them to do. So that comfort zone is basically saying, my anxiety is stifling me and I feel more comfortable doing nothing. Opposite action is a technique in psychology that tells us, let's do it anyway, because now we're going to associate that next step that's anxiety provoking with comfort, or a little closer to comfort. But if we don't do opposite action, we never get that taste of a step toward that success. And again, I'm a dream pusher, guys. I really want you to go for your dreams. When I'm talking to you in these videos, it's because I'm really serious about passions. Passions, meaning, all of that is what leads to contentment. It's a big part of contentment. So I take dreams really seriously, and perfectionism is something that can be adaptive, like I said, but we have to refine it so that it's perfectionistic-like, but not so much that it's stifling, okay? Another really good technique in psychology is the chunking method. I've talked about this before, guys, but really what it means is chunking your goals into tiny steps. So that could be daily goals or weekly goals. Let's use the example of weekly goals. If you have 52 little steps a year, that's the chunking method right there. You're breaking down all your goals that lead to the ultimate ideal state, the place you're going to be at the end of the year, into small goals that are actually doable. But again, first you have to actually conquer the dichotomous thinking, and then you go ahead and use a chunking technique. How do you do that? Figure out where you're going to be a year from now and break all of those steps down into 52 steps if we're doing this weekly. That's the chunking method. It's going to be much more doable, more palatable for you, and you're going to feel like you can actually do it. What's the next step? Accountability. Guys, you have to have some support. Let a friend know what you're trying to do. Let them know, I'm trying to conquer my anxiety around perfectionism, and this is my ultimate goal. This is what I want to achieve by the end of the year. If you have accountability, like from a coach, or like an online coach, or a coach in person, or your friend, or maybe your partner's really supportive, let it be known what you're trying to tackle, because that way you're accountable to them, not just yourself, and they're going to probably help you reframe. Hopefully they're not critical, they're supportive, and help and let them know, hey, sometimes I'm a black and white thinker, I'm a perfectionist, but I'm trying to undo that, unravel that, so that I can refine my perfectionism into something adaptive and creative, and I can be more successful with my life. So make sure you're conquering that dichotomous all or nothing thinking. Write down the gray area. Yeah, it's not going to be exactly the way I like, but it's a step toward my goal. Write that down. Those are the gray thoughts instead of all or nothing black and white thoughts. Also, make sure you have accountability partner. It's really important, guys. And make sure you're taking opposite action. Exactly what you don't want to do today, go ahead and do it if it's a step toward your dream. That is called opposite action. We don't like it, but guess what? It actually helps us with anxiety around our steps toward our goals. All right, and use the chunking method. Reverse engineer your goals, break them down into 52 days, 365 steps, whatever it is, write all of those down and have them on a calendar. That's the chunking method. We use that in psychology. I'm telling you guys, it's so powerful for perfectionists and people with anxiety. All right, guys, I've used all these steps myself. Again, I never teach something that I don't believe in or is not based on research. All right, guys, I hope these tips helped. If you like this video, hit the like button, hit subscribe. If you want to be notified for future videos, hit the bell button as well. I have a book, Peak Mindset, The New Science of Success. I'll put the link in the description box, and I'll talk to you soon.